What's up guys, Ben here and welcome to Motivation to Invest. Genomics, biotechnology and gene editing. These are areas which are set to transform the healthcare industry. The idea is that every single person on this planet, including me and you, will have their genes sequenced and mapped. Thus, when you visit your doctor, they'll have your gene information in front of you. This is powerful data which can affect the quality of your life massively. From that data, doctors and genomic scientists can identify and remove harmful DNA, which may contribute to a variety of genetic disorders. Here's a simple example. Let's say you know your family has a history of colon cancer. You know previous generations have died of the disease, so you're more susceptible to it due to your genes. Now that may seem like you've been dealt a bad hand, but now things have changed. You could potentially identify this gene which is making you more susceptible to this cancer and have it completely removed. There's also talk of designer babies. So let's say you're a parent and you identify that there is a gene in your family which can cause inherent blindness. That gene can be removed before the baby is born.
For the first time, scientists have used the gene editing technology known as CRISPR inside a patient. The groundbreaking procedure was performed in Oregon. The microscopic gene editing tool was injected directly into the eye of someone who is nearly blind. Scientists hope to restore sight by editing DNA from inside the person's body. Traditionally, doctors remove cells when using the CRISPR technique. The genes are then edited in a lab before being returned to the body. But if this new approach is successful, experts say it could revolutionize treatment for an array of diseases.
This type of genetic engineering is set to change the course of human evolution. And this means that humans could effectively live forever. Would you like to live forever? Now, no matter which side you sit in this ethical debate, the truth is this is an industry which is growing massively. According to Markets and Markets research, the global genomics market is projected to reach $35.7 billion by 2024 from $18.9 billion in 2019, growing at a compounded annual growth rate of 13.5%. Factors such as rising government funding and growth in the number of genomics projects, decreasing sequencing costs, growing application areas of genomics, and the entry of new players and startups in the genomics field are driving growth of the market. However, the high cost of genomic equipment could limit market growth to a certain extent in the coming years. However, there is a major difficulty for you investors when you're trying to invest in this industry. As the genomics space is fast evolving and an ever-changing landscape, it can be difficult to invest into individual stocks. Now, the majority of the time, I do urge many of you guys, if you're going to invest into individual stocks if you want that greater upside, but it does take a lot more research. But in the genomic space, I'm happy to say there is an alternative solution. Due to the complexity of the genomic space, many investors choose to simply avoid the industry entirely and just say, I'm never investing into genomics or biotechnology stocks. Now, I think that's a real shame, as you're missing out on some major opportunities. So what's the solution, guys? What's the way of us gaining exposure to the genomics market while simultaneously knowing what we're actually doing? Well, enter Ark Invest. So I've mentioned Ark Invest many times on this channel. Their CEO is Cathie, one of the biggest Tesla bulls, and they're an investment firm which specializes in disruptive and innovative technology. They also have an ETF called the Ark Invest Genomics ETF. So in this video, I'm going to deep dive into this ETF. The top 10 holdings, the goals, the return, and of course the costs, because ETFs are not free. Right guys, so here we are, we're in the Ark Invest Genomic Revolution ETF. So this aims to provide exposure to DNA sequencing technology, gene editing, CRISPR therapeutics, agricultural biology, and molecular diagnostics. Now, just to give you a little bit of background on the agricultural biology, so basically there are startup companies which are breeding pigs with specific DNA to make their organs more human-like. Thus, these pigs can act as organ donors for humans who suffer from diseases. So it is a very fascinating field, but there are a lot of ethical concerns. I suppose it all comes down to personal preference and personal situation. Like, I think from a ethical point of view, it's very easy to sit back and say, oh, this is wrong and they shouldn't be doing this. But imagine it's you or your family and you have a terrible disease and you're in the hospital and they say the only way that they can help you is by replacing an organ which they've developed using gene editing from pigs. And that will allow you to survive or a member of your family. Now, are you going to honestly turn down that opportunity? That's a question for you, so I'll leave you with that. But I'd love to know your thoughts on that, so please do comment that below. It's a very interesting topic. I'm sure there'll be a lot of debate on it. So these innovations can help us restructuring healthcare, agricultural, pharmaceuticals, and enhancing the quality of your life. This fund was founded in 2014 by, of course, Cathie Wood, the great Cathie Wood. There is also a few analysts who actively manage the ETF. Typical holdings between 30 and 50. Here we are, the Ark Genomic Revolution ETF, ARKG. An expense ratio, so that's the cost of using the ETF, of 0.75%. Now that may not seem like a lot, but it does add up over time, especially as your investment pot gets much larger. Market price and total return in the past few years. So we can see in the past 3 months, it has returned 22.14% for its investors. Year to date, the ETF is up by over 90%. So this does have a fairly high upside, especially for this industry. Year one, 122.43%. 3 years, it's returned 37.28%. 5 years, 29.35%. So the majority of this fund's returns have been within the last 1 to 2 years. So does that mean this industry is starting to spark right now? Or has Ark Invest just got lucky? So diving into the top 10 holdings, we've got Invitae Corp. They make up 10.12% of the portfolio, which is substantial. Ticker symbol NVTA. Market price $48.13 per share. Then second, they have CRISPR Therapeutics. Ticker symbol CRSP. Third on the list, they have Pacific Biosciences of California. Ticker symbol PACB. Now, if you really want to invest into the individual stocks, I recommend probably Invitae, CRISPR, and Pacific Biosciences. They're just the ones that I know off the top of my head as having great exposure to this industry, and this is also backed by it being the top 3 of the top 10 holdings for this ETF. But really, you do need to do a lot of research, follow the earnings calls for these companies because it is a fast-changing landscape. So comparing the fund to the S&P 500 and analysing a $10,000 investment since inception, we can see that if you would have invested $10,000 back in 2014 here, it'd be worth $28,000 now, over $28,000, whereas the S&P 500 would only be worth $18,000. So you can see there's a substantial increase in terms of gains from this fund. Now that may account for the higher risk of the fund, as a lot of these companies do face ethical issues and it is a fast changing landscape. But either way, it's a great return for those investors. I'd love to know if you're invested into any of the individual stocks, such as Pacific Biosciences, Illumina, and Invitae. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you found some value in this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up. That really helps out with the YouTube AI. And if you want more investing tips and exclusive stock market picks, which I'm personally investing into, then you should definitely subscribe to this channel and turn that notification bell on. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Invest safe.